So I was born the youngest of five to two parents who were ministers in a non-denominational Christian church. Very much grew up understanding to a certain extent, as best as a child can, what it means to follow Jesus. And when I left the small town I grew up in, Washington State, I moved to Southern California as a fish out of water. I learned that not everybody thinks the same way I do. When I arrived at college, I thought everything was going to be just the way it had always been. I was still playing football. I was still going to be hanging out with those sorts of people, right? But I realized that I had to gain praise in any way possible, get that acceptance, that love. And I started doing things that I knew weren't right, whether it was in, let's call them relationships, saying things to people to get a rise, to get applause. Those weren't me. And I knew that, and I knew better than to do those things. As I was having essentially an identity crisis, knowing that I wasn't the guy I was supposed to be all along, I started questioning really who God was. Was that all fake? Was the youth group revival, was that just an emotional play? I started questioning all those things, and even the story of Jesus and him making, these miracles, the wine and the crucifixion, the resurrection, all of it started to unravel in my mind, and I started to question things that I'd come to feel to be true my entire life, but now they were evaporating, just like who I was evaporating. I woke up every morning disliking myself, and I tried to use anything to distract myself. I became obsessed with just distraction, and I wasn't gaining anything from those things. It was just to get myself away from me. What I didn't realize at the time is that I had an underlying mental health disorder that is known as bipolar disorder, and alcohol is a great depressant. And for me, what that meant was that I couldn't just have one drink. I don't know when it happened, but eventually I developed a desire, a need to have that second drink. And the only thing better than the current drink is the next drink. And who I was on the outside looked like this party guy, but my drinking was not a party. It was ugly. It was hidden. I couldn't even stomach the actual fear of being found out. For me, it was having to just get honest with myself and admit I have a problem. I'm not okay. So I dragged my body unwillingly, but my body walked into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they talked about a higher power, and that made sense to me. But it wasn't until I joined Celebrate Recovery, where they base their 12 steps on the power that Jesus Christ provides. Jesus met me when I was willing. The more I was willing to get closer, the more he was willing to get closer. I had no problem coming back to God, but coming back to Jesus took me some time. And one of the biggest tools that I came across was just simply a book of essentially the red letters. Just reading the red letters of Jesus's words. Everything he said had value, and it touched me in a way that there's no way that that person could have changed all of these lives by accident. And so I had to believe that he was who he says he was.